What is up, guys? It's Kyle here from Team Moons, and today we're going to give you a deck profile on my Chainburn deck. Now, the last rendition of this deck I gave you guys was my Zodiac version, and after recent testing, I realized that the Zodiac engine is way better in the side deck because more often than not, you're going to want to counter side for them, and they want to side out all their dead cards. So if you side in cards that are good against their dead cards, well then you're going to be in a good sort. So this is a different rendition of the deck. It's more draw power heavy. It's really consistent, has a lot of power plays, and has a lot of consistent draw power that lets you mindlessly plus until you pretty much fuel yourself into a bunch of burn cards, and then they just ultimately lose the game because of that. I would consider this deck to be one of the best decks of the format. The only bad matchup it has is probably against. I mean, it has a decently hard matchup against Paleozoic, but if you chain your links properly, you can really build them out. But the hardest match it has up against this format would be the Infernoid matchup because they have so many negates and stuff. And they do kind of go a little bit neg. But other than that, the deck is really powerful and it just blows every other deck out of the water this format. So it's a really good option to play. This version isn't super budget because I do play a few expensive cards in it, but there are other options you can put in instead of those. But like I said, you don't have to run them specifically. Okay, so just getting right into it, we'll start off with the monsters. Pretty low count. We just have your 1, 2 maxis. You run these because every deck in the format does a special summon and goes crazy. So if you can, at bare minimum, even if this is just acts like an upstart, it still thins your deck and it stops them from doing whatever they want to do. That's it for the monsters. Next, you run 3 Card of Demise. It's the most important card in your deck. You want to run this. I'd run 4 of these if I could. Because more often than not, you kind of use all your resources and then you end up dealing about 6,000. And then you end up running out of ways to burn your opponent and you end up top decking. So if you top deck your Card of Demise or you just leave it in your hand after you set 4, drawing those 3 extra cards usually secures you the game. More draw power, we have 3 Pot of Duality. You need to run this card. It's pretty much just an upstart, except you get to pick whatever you want. And you don't give them 1,000 life points, because you will never special summon in this deck, other than after you go into your side deck. Really important card to run at 3. Next, you run 2 Pot of Desires. All your deck is 3 ofs, so if you're going to banish a few cards, it doesn't really matter. And even if you do banish 3 of a copy of a card, you don't really have combo plays in your deck. You're just going to try to out-resource your opponent and just try to burn them down as fast as possible. So the more burn cards you can draw, the better. We run 1 day apiece just because it's another way for you not to die. It's like a really good way to give your opponent an extra card, which makes you ultimately inflict more damage to them. And it also gives you the extra card, so it's pretty good. And lastly, for the spells, you run 2 Chain Strike. If this was at 3, the deck would be like tier 1 easy, but it's at 2 for now, and this is one of your main burn cards, goes without saying. That's it for the spells. Oops. Next, for the traps, you run Stuff That Makes You Not Die. So you run 2 Threatening Roar. You don't run 3 of these because, yes, some monsters do get added effects when they attack, and Waboku doesn't stop them from attacking. But you can't activate this on your own turn. And sometimes, actually a lot of the times, if they know you're playing Chainburn and you do play Battle Traps, they're going to generally not try to attack into you too much. So having this just to stop their attacks is really good. And Waboku is generally better because you can activate it during your own turn to clear up an extra spot on your board if you need to. And that being said, you do run 3 Wabokus. This is the one you can activate on your own turn and it stops you from dying. It's just a better Threatening Roar in my own opinion. For draw cards, you're running 3 Reckless. Generally you activate this in your own standby phase, because if you draw for your draw phase and then you activate your Reckless, it's like you activate Card of Demise pretty much. And those 3 cards generally will help you win the game, or if not, secure the game. More draw cards, 2 Balance of Judgment. This card can easily be like a +3, +4. A lot of decks in the format, specifically Zoo, just get a lot of board presence, and this punishes that really easily. So generally, you want to activate this during the end phase, because if you do, it'll usually be your only card on the field, and it'll net you upwards, usually about 4 cards on average. Next, you're in 2 Jama Trio. If they know you're playing Chamber, they're not going to play cards, so this kind of goes around that. And also, it stops them from committing to their board so much where they can kill you. And say if they just get out like a couple like 2,000 beaters, then it takes them at least 2 to 3 turns for them to kill you regardless. So it lets you take a little bit of extra damage without having to blow your Wabakus and threatening auras early. And for the burn traps, you run 2 Ceasefire, really, really good. Broken Cell, 500 for each. Just Dessert's probably the strongest trap card in the entire deck. 2,500 is pretty much guaranteed with this, and it's really broken. Secret Barrel, 200 for every card on their hand and in their field. This usually nets you about 1,600 to 2,400 damage, which is really, really good. Secret Blast, run 3 of these, 300 for every card they control, and if it's destroyed by your opponent's card effect, they take an extra 1,000 damage. And it is chainable in that circumstance, so you do inflict the 300 for each, plus you deal the 1,000 damage, so this card's absolutely insane with Twin Twister and Drancia and all that stuff being relevant in this format. I'd run 10 of this card if I could, probably. 1 Ring of Destruction, you run this because it's just an out to problem cards, and it does do a hefty amount of damage. 1 Magic Cylinder, you're only running 1 because it does target and it does do effect damage. It's just a different way for you to not die, and there's so many games where like they'll just attack you with like an alternative dragon, and you just do like 3,000, and then that's pretty detrimental to their health. And lastly, you run 3-Dimension Wall. A lot of people don't run a lot of battle traps in their Chamber deck because 1, they're not chainable, and 2, they're only usable during a specific phase in your opponent's turn. And yes, I can understand that, but the amount of like kaijus and these big beefy monsters that are going around, this card just steals so many games. Like, just being able to deal 3,000 damage plus with 1 card is ridiculous. And so many games, like online, in tournaments, regionals, locals, where this card will just blow up the entire game and they'd have 0 chance of coming back from it. And that's it for the main deck. It's 41 cards. Kind of weird, but it works really well for me. Next, we'll go into the extra deck. You do run a full extra deck in this. It's weird because you can't really go into it, but your side does help. So you run your 3 tokens for your Jama Trio. You got Billy Break, John Moore, and represent Zodiac Duelist. Those are your boys. You got to run those all the time. Get them out as fast as possible and you'll win. You run 1 Boribo, Tiger Mortar, Dryden. There's also a Broad Bull in here too, but my friend has it right now. And I haven't gotten it back from him yet, but it is supposed to be in here. You run those because you do side the 3 Rats and the 1 Whiptail to out problem cards like Prime Material Dragon or Des Wombat or whatever. So you usually side this on a lot. This gives you a 1, like if you draw a rat, it gives you a 1 card out to Jinzo, Denko, and Royal Decree. And it's just insane being able to counter side like that, being able to blow up every single kind of counter card that hurts you with 1 single side. Since you do run the Zeus, you do run the Emerald. He gives you the extra draw if you need it, and he's also 1,800 beater. And you run 1 Cowboy because 800 burn damage is pretty good. The rest of the extra deck is pretty much just general rank 4s that will help you if you need them. It doesn't really ever come up, but if you need them, they're there. So Castel, Honor, Dweller, Ragnar Zero with Zoo, it gets you an extra draw. Utopia and the Lightning can give you an OTK, and they're not really expecting it from Chamber. You run the 2 Crystal Wings, the most important part of your extra deck. If you got them, you gotta run them. They're broken, and you can't get them out, but they're in there. And lastly, you run 1 Stardust. You run this because you're playing Starlight Road in the side deck, so you have to have a way to summon it. And on for the side deck. The side deck's pretty much personal preference, but like there's not a lot of hate to Infernoid in here because we don't really have Infernoids at locals, but I would definitely put in a couple Lancias if you were bringing this to a larger event. So 3 Lava Golem, he's broken. He sets up your Magic Cylinder in that for 3,000 damage, and he gets rid of problem cards. 3 Denko. I know it sounds really cool. I mean, not cool. Really, really weird to play this in your Chamberlain deck, side deck. But versus the Mirror, which is relevant this format because a lot of people are playing Chamberlain because it is so good against you, that if you summon this in the Mirror match, you're pretty much guaranteed to win because they don't really have a way to get rid of it. Because they're not going to side to get rid of Denko because they're not going to expect you to play Denko in your own Chamberlain deck. So if you summon this, you're just going to 1700 beat them down until they lose. Like I said earlier, we're running the Zodiac engine. So you have 3 rats and 1 whiptail, searchable, and just gives you one card out to all the side deck cards for against you. 2 blazing, you run these as mass removal to also inflict damage and save yourself a bit. It's good in some matchups, set in if you need it. Double Starlight Road for heavy, like if a deck runs 3 Twin Twisters, you put this in because it's going to come up very, very often. And lastly, we're running a Skill Drain. Run Skill Drain, it's really good against like Infernoids and stuff, and just like in pretty much like a lot of matchups, especially Rogue, they're going to just have random cards that you're not expecting. So Skill Drain will just be able to shut them down and help you maintain a little bit longer. And that's it for the side deck. Just regular 15 cards is expected. So that's it for the deck, guys. If you like the video, you can go ahead and give it a like and comment on it if you want to give me some tips or if you have any ideas about what you want to see go into it. Other than that, like, it's a really powerful deck, this format. It had a pretty big showing at different regionals and YCS over the past couple days. And make sure to check out the other videos on my channel. If you have any suggestions of what you want to see out of me, you can feel free to let me know. Do have access to a lot of cards, so I can show you guys pretty much any profiles or live duels that you guys want to see. So just in the comment section below, pretty much just throw me down 2 decks and I'll see if I can get you a match of those. Anyway, guys, this is Kyle from T-Moons, and signing out. Thanks. Goodbye.